languages other than English. He's going to talk about recommendations of graded readers in German. We're just talking together and found that last time Barry and I had a chat was in Taiwan. The last time we had a face-to-face World Congress. So it's nice that we can touch base again and hear from Barry on this topic now. So over to you, Barry.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming to my presentation. My name is Barry Keith. I teach at the University of the Ryukyus. Today I'll be talking about graded readers in German. So first, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. I first came into contact with ER probably over 20 years ago, yes. I attended a lecture by Rob Waring and Maurice Jamel, and he was talking about this thing called extensive reading. And so that was my first exposure. And I became interested, and at my previous university, we were doing pretty large scale extensive reading with our engineering students. But now at my current university, we're not doing so much, and it's basically me and a couple of other teachers. I started out in ER with making quizzes for the M reader, and at last count, I made like something more than 1,000 quizzes. I don't remember, but reading the books was a really, something that I got out of that. So I wanted to make some contribution to Tom Robb for developing that system and to increase the viability of the system by providing more quizzes. But the biggest benefit I got out of it was that I got to read the books that my students were reading. And so I'm pretty knowledgeable about graded readers because I've actually read all of those books and made quizzes for them. But anyway, so, and then for 2 years, I was the coordinator for the ER SIG in JOLT. And personally, I'm doing extensive reading. I love learning languages. And I was a Spanish major at university, a French minor, and I also studied German. And so my extensive reading is basically just trying to maintain the language. I'm not, really studying German, but I do it just to kind of keep the flame burning, so to speak. And I did study German 3 years at university, and I've done 2 little study tours abroad, both at the Goethe Institute for 1 month. And I did take the CEFAR B2 Goethe certificate. But as I said, I'm not really studying German. I just read. My motivation for doing this comes from the Day and Bamford's 10 Principles of ER. And I really am a strong believer in principle number 10, the teacher as a role model. And so anytime I make an assignment to my students, like a project or some assignment, I like to do that assignment as well. It's not always possible, but if possible, I will do that assignment. So I try to understand the steps involved, and I think it, helps me give them more appropriate guidance. So I do extensive reading, and I often share my own reading with the students in the class. The way I track is just, I have a little Excel page, and I have the date and take a little screenshot of the book cover and the language, and then the title and so on, how many pages. Unfortunately, most of the books in other languages than English do not have a word count. So I just count by pages. And I also keep a record of the time spent. And I have a system where I rotate languages. So, I read in Spanish and then German and then French and German again. Well, Chinese is the language that I'm studying mostly now. And so I try to read 3 books in Chinese to every 2 books in German, my second, weakest language, to 1 book in French and Spanish. So it's 3, 2, 1, and then I have a system of rotation. And make a little comments about the books that I read. So that's how I keep track of what I'm doing. The books that I'm going to be talking about today, I order my books through this website. This is a website in the UK called the European Bookshop. And as you can see in the menu at the top, they have many books in different languages, and they all have graded reader sections there. So I purchased my books through this. I don't know if that's the best, but it's what I do. And so all of the information I'm going to be sharing is culled from this website today. And I'd like to introduce 3 series that I found to be really well written and readers that I can highly recommend for anyone reading in German. And at the end of the presentation, I'll provide a longer list as a PDF. So I'll share that with everyone. Okay, so the first one I would like to talk about is the Easy Readers. It's in English, the name. These are a series of readers that are published in Denmark. And the readers are available in French, Spanish, I believe Italian as well, and German. And there are 38 titles, and they're according to Sephar, they're separated into like 4 or 5 groups from A0 to B2. And I put the pages here. It depends on of course, the length of the book, the novel, the original work. But they're generally about 100, up to 100 pages. And this series includes both classics and also modern fiction. Unfortunately, there is no audio available for this series, but they do have a glossary in German, and there are some exercises. Unfortunately, I could not find the answers to the exercises. But to be honest, I'm going to talk about the exercises today, but that's really not important to me as an extensive reader. I just like to read the story, right? My goodness, I don't do the exercises. And so I love the Oxford Bookworm series, for example, and there's the dominoes, right? And the dominoes, between each chapter, there are little exercises interspersed. I tell my students, ignore those, just read the story. But anyway, so this is the first chapter of this book, and as you can see, it's just very classic. I just love these books. They're so well written, and the editing is tight, and there's no extraneous sentences, and it's just beautifully written. And they have a very nice glossary in the first language, right? So here's der Krug, and der Behälter für das Wasser. Of course, the little boy, the young Emil has a Krug in his hand here. And so these beautifully written books, and I really, really recommend them. The exercises at the end are pretty sparse, just some questions and little problems. So it's not much there. The second series I would like to introduce is the DaF Bibliothek from Cornelsen. And these are the genre, very popular in German. A lot of the German series are like detective, krimis. And so there's the detective and always, you know, solving some crime. And there are 19 titles in this series, and they range from A1 to B1. All of these have the same number of pages, 56, so it's very standardized. They do include audio. We'll listen to a little excerpt in a moment. The glossary in German and exercises are included with the key. So if you were so inclined to do self-study, this would be a very good series for that. So here's the foreword, the foreword to the book. And as you can see, they give little thumbnails of all the main characters in the story. And this is a big help, of course, with extensive reading. And then this is the first chapter. This is the story is called The Death in the Opera House, Death in the Opera House. So let's listen to this passage so you get an idea of the quality of the audio.
Kapitel 1, 10. Juli, 11:10 Uhr. Herein! Bertram Bitieux betritt den kleinen Probenraum, in dem nur ein Klavier, 3 Stühle, ein Notenständer und ein Telefon stehen. Bertram Bitieux singt seit 4 Jahren als Tenor am Staatstheater Kassel. Er kommt aus Ungarn. Er ist 1,76 Meter groß, hat grüne Augen und dunkelblondes Haar, das bis auf seine Schultern reicht. Er ist schlank und wirkt jünger, als er wirklich ist, Anfang 50. Im Oktober entscheidet es sich, ob sein Vertrag verlängert wird. Seine Traumrolle ist Don José in der Oper Carmen von Georges Bizet. Toni Kröger ist seit 2 Jahren als Solorepetitor am Staatstheater tätig. Er bereitet sich auf eine Karriere als Dirigent vor. Toni ist 25 Jahre jung. Als er am Theater anfing, hielten ihn seine Kollegen für einen Spanier. 1,82 Meter, dunkle, fast schwarze Haare, braune, melancholisch blickende Augen.
Okay, so very nice audio, very clear, nice voice, good quality. And as I mentioned, the end of the book has exercises, and the answers are also included. So excellent for self-study. That's the second series. Okay, the third series is Leo und Co, published by Langenscheidt. And this one, there are 21 titles, and they range from A1 to B2. These are also pretty standardized, the same length. Each book is 64 pages, including the exercises and dossier. They include audio, a glossary in German, exercises, and the answers are available online. If you search for the title of the book, you can find kind of like a teacher resources page. It's a PDF that is freely available. And they include a dossier of like cultural information related to the story in Germany. So this is a book called Leichte Beute, and it means easy prey. And let me introduce this series to you. So this series, Leo and Co, this is Leo here, Leo, and he is a painter, but he owns a cafe, little restaurant, and the people that appear in the stories all kind of congregate at his restaurant. He has a person living there who helps in in the cafe, and the young woman who's studying at university, and her boyfriend, and so all these characters appear throughout the series. So you get to know them and their personalities and the way they think and what they might do in a given situation. So this is, and as you can see, it's kind of like this, kind of manga touch to the drawings that are kind of interesting. And this is the first chapter. And I would like to play the audio for this one as well.
Kapitel 1. Mit dem Fahrrad? Ihr wollt mit dem Fahrrad bis Wien fahren? Ist das nicht viel zu weit? Wir fahren nicht die ganze Strecke auf einmal, Oma. Wir teilen die Strecke in 12 Etappen. Und wir machen natürlich viele Pausen. Wir wollen doch Ferien machen. Also ich weiß nicht. Ich finde Urlaub am Meer am schönsten. Man steigt ins Flugzeug, fliegt in den Süden, fährt ins Hotel und lässt es sich 2 Wochen nur gut gehen. Oma, wir sind doch noch jung. Wir wollen Aktivurlaub, ein bisschen Abenteuer. Und billig muss der Urlaub auch sein.
I really cannot believe this is an A2 because that's hard, but yeah, it's beautifully narrated professionally, and they have more than one actor, so the characters are all done by the same voice actors, so that's also a nice touch. This series is really good for learning, like colloquial expressions, like street language, and so it's definitely not your typical learning material, so quite good, very interesting, good stories. They have exercises in the back with audio tracks, and as I said, you can get the answers online. They also have this very interesting kind of dossier about this one is talking about they're taking a trip to Vienna. And so a little background information about Vienna, and also the woman in the grandmother in the story, she has an accident, she breaks her arm. And so they have a little dossier here about healthcare in Germany, so interesting stuff. Okay, so that's basically all that I have to share. I wanted to, look at like headwords and maybe the syllabus for the grammar and things like that. But as far as I can tell, of course, they don't publish the words for each level, or I don't even know what the syllabus is for them in terms of, the grammatical features. So that would be a really interesting comparison to, look at, say, representative series, the big four in English, but in other languages, I don't think that information is available. I haven't found it anyway. So that's all for me. If you guys would